Among all the matchups in sumo history, there are some that transcend the sport and become true epic battles. On the SumoSpirit channel, we bring you the top 5 of greatest rivalries in sumo. Number 1. Hakuho versus Harumafuji. Hakuho is considered the greatest sumo wrestler in history. He debuted in 2001 and reached the rank of Yokozuna in 2007. His dominance was absolute. 45 tournament victories, surpassing all records, with a career that extended until 2021. On the other hand, Harumafuji was another Mongolian who achieved Yokozuna status in 2012, though his rise came later than Hakuho's. With 9 tournament wins, his style was more explosive and aggressive, making him a fearsome presence in the dohyo. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighing around 340 pounds, Hakuho possessed an ideal physical structure for sumo. Though slightly shorter at 6 feet 1 inch and lighter at around 298 pounds, Harumafuji compensated for his size with an exceptionally dense muscular build and a low center of gravity that made him hard to unbalance. These physical traits naturally suited him for Oshizumo, a pushing style, where his explosiveness and speed allowed him to gain an edge in the opening seconds of a match. Techniques like the hatakikumi, a sudden downward slap, and tsupari, a flurry of palm thrusts, were his signature weapons. The first clash between Hakuho and Harumafuji took place in 2010, when Hakuho secured his first win against his rival at the 2010 Akebono, achieving his 4th consecutive perfect record. 2012 may have presented their most significant encounter as yokozunas. On that occasion, Harumafuji stunned the more experienced Hakuho with a perfectly executed hatakikumi on the final day of the tournament, ending Hakuho's streak of over 2.5 years as the sole yokozuna. Their last official bout was in May 2017, where Hakuho prevailed in an endurance match lasting 1 minute and 27 seconds. Hakuho's record against Harumafuji stood at 36 wins to 21 losses. While Hakuho comes out ahead in this comparison, Harumafuji has more victories over him than any other wrestler. Harumafuji versus Hakuho was the final match of the tournament for 10 consecutive tournaments, from May 2012 to November 2013, the second longest streak after the 15 consecutive ones by Wajima and Kitanumi. The rivalry between Hakuho and Harumafuji is remembered by fans as a clash of styles and personalities. Hakuho represented technical excellence and consistency, while Harumafuji embodied intensity and the ability to surprise. Number 2. Hakuho versus Asashoryu. Asashoryu, born in 1980 in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, arrived in Japan in 1999 as a young wrestler with a compact yet extraordinarily powerful physique. He reached the rank of Yokozuna in 2003, becoming the first Mongolian to do so, while Hakuho started years later. At 6 feet tall and 326 pounds, Asashoryu had a low center of gravity that allowed him to generate unmatched explosive power in his tachiai, the initial charge. This trait made him especially dangerous in the opening seconds of a match, where he often decided the outcome. Hakuho, by contrast, had a physique better suited for Yotsuzumo. His greater reach enabled him to control distance and secure deep grips on his opponent's mawashi. The encounters between these two yokozunas unfolded primarily between 2004 and 2010, totaling 24 official bouts in Makuuchi division tournaments. In the early years, Asashoryu dominated the head-to-head record, capitalizing on his greater experience and Hakuho's still developing competitive maturity. A notable example was their clash at the 2005 Kyushu Basho, where Asashoryu quickly defeated Hakuho with an oshidashi, proving why he was the reigning yokozuna. However, as Hakuho gained experience and confidence, the balance of power shifted. The year 2009 marked a turning point when Hakuho secured his first significant victory over Asashoryu. In the rivalry's later years, Hakuho grew increasingly dominant, while Asashoryu began to suffer the effects of injuries and offering issues. Their final official meeting was at the 2010 Akebono, where Hakuho emerged victorious with a yoritaoshi, laughing as Asashoryu retired shortly after. Hakuho expressed shock at Asashoryu's retirement in February and said it was an honor to compete in the same era, reflecting mutual respect. After being regularly defeated by Asashoryu early in his career, Hakuho came to dominate him completely, winning their last 7 regulation matches, excluding 2 playoff losses, and finishing with a 14-13 record against his greatest rival. Together, they drew a new generation of sumo fans, both in Japan and worldwide. Number 3. Takanohana versus Akebono. Takanohana debuted in 1988 and reached Yokozuna status in 1994, representing the pinnacle of technical and traditional sumo. Akebono, arriving from Hawaii in 1988 and ascending to Yokozuna in 1993, marked a turning point in the sport's history as the first non-Japanese to reach the top rank. The physical disparity between them was stark. At 6 feet 8 inches tall and a peak weight exceeding 518 pounds, Akebono had a 7-inch height advantage and nearly 176 pounds over Takanohana, who stood at 6 feet 1 inch and weighed 340 pounds. This difference shaped their opposing technical approaches. Akebono developed a style based on his imposing physical presence. His long arms enabled devastating frontal thrusts. When he secured a mawashi grip, his favored technique was the yorikiri, using his weight to force opponents out of the dohyo. Takanohana, though more conventionally built, possessed exquisite technique inherited from his lineage. His game relied on a precise tachi-ai and the ability to adapt mid-match. A Yotsuzumo specialist, he mastered techniques like uwatanash and shitatenash to neutralize larger opponents. Their bouts at their peak between 1989 and 2000 carried immense symbolic weight. Their first significant clash came in 1989 in the Makushita division, with Takanohana emerging victorious by forcing Akebono out with a yorikiri. Akebono responded at the November 1994 Kyushu Basho with a display of raw power. In a bout lasting mere seconds, he landed a series of tsupari that sent Takanohana out of the dohyo before he could establish his grip game. The rivalry's endpoint came in 2000, with Akebono dominating again, defeating Takanohana at the Kyushu Basho. After a belt grip struggle, Akebono won with a simple yorikiri, finishing runner-up with a 13-2 record. After winning his 11th top division title in November 2000, Akebono suffered another injury and, after missing the January 2001 tournament, retired rather than face a grueling recovery. Takanohana retired in 2003 after a shoulder injury and successive losses. Their career record ended in a 25-25 tie. The competition between Akebono and Takanohana was considered one of the great rivalries defining post-war sumo. A curious anecdote: during the opening ceremony of the 1998 Nagano Winter Olympics, a professional sumo wrestler was chosen to represent each participating country and guide them into the stadium. Due to Takanohana's illness, Akebono was honored with representing Japan in the ceremony. Number 4. Takayasu versus Tochinoshin. The 2000s saw the rise of 2 wrestlers who, though never reaching Yokozuna, became pillars of the Sanyaku ranks: Takayasu and Tochinoshin. Takayasu's ascent was steady but slow, reaching Ozeki in 2017 after consistent success in the top division. Tochinoshin, arriving from Georgia in 2006, had a career of dramatic highs and lows. After reaching Ozeki in 2018, injuries dropped him to Juryo, only for him to stage one of sumo's most remarkable comebacks. At 6 feet 2 inches tall and around 375 pounds, Takayasu had a robust build. Tochinoshin, at 6 feet 3 inches and nearly 397 pounds at his peak, possessed a unique blend of height and muscle mass, making him exceptionally effective at lifting opponents. His extraordinarily strong legs provided an unmatched base for his signature tsuridashi, the famous lift and out. Their early encounters featured 2 developing wrestlers, with Tochinoshin winning 3 of their first 5 bouts thanks to initial physical superiority and techniques like uwatanash and kakenash. However, the rivalry's competitive nature emerged from 2013, when Takayasu began to take control. The rivalry peaked in 2018, with both at their Ozeki best. The Mei Natsu Basho bout was particularly significant. Newly promoted Ozeki Tochinoshin, on a winning streak, attempted his signature tsuridashi against Takayasu, who heroically resisted and countered with a kotenage at the 12-second mark. In the rivalry's later years, by 2021, Tochinoshin was in decline. In January that year, Takayasu defeated him again with thrusting techniques, proving he'd learned from their many clashes. In this year of decline, Tochinoshin suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury against Tokushoryu. These two titans faced off over 20 times in official Makuuchi bouts between 2011 and 2023, when Tochinoshin retired, with Takayasu leading with over 12 wins. Number 5. Kisenosato versus Hakuho. Hakuho had already established his hegemony by the time Kisenosato began his rise. By 2016, Hakuho had amassed an astonishing 36 tournament wins, surpassing all historical benchmarks. Kisenosato emerged as Japan's great hope in an era when all active yokozunas were foreign-born. Debuting in 2002, he spent over a decade as an ozeki, earning the nickname Eternal Ozeki for his consistency but apparent inability to take the final step. Hakuho held an advantage with his greater reach. Kisenosato, at 6 feet tall and about 392 pounds, was less massive but powerful. Hakuho developed a complete game adaptable to any opponent. Against smaller wrestlers, he used his reach for grips. Against heavier ones, he relied on thrusts. Kisenosato focused on delivering a crushing frontal thrust from the tachi-ai. From 2008 to 2012, Hakuho won 12 of their first 13 encounters. Back in the Megashira ranks for the September 2008 tournament, Kisenosato was the only man to defeat tournament winner Hakuho. Later, in 2010, Hakuho exacted revenge on Day 7 of the September Akibasho, defeating Kisenosato for the first time in front of the crowd. The rivalry peaked in the tournament 2017. This year, Japanese sumo wrestler Kisenosato defeated Hakuho in a bout in Tokyo. On this day, Kisenosato became the first Japanese wrestler to achieve the rank of Yokozuna since 1998. This victory was one of the best moments in sumo history. However, Hakuho dominated most of their encounters, finishing with 45 wins to Kisenosato's 16 losses. For Japanese fans, Kisenosato represented the hope of reclaiming national pride in a Mongol-dominated sport. His 2017 victory was celebrated as both a cultural and sporting triumph, the perennial runner-up finally achieving glory against the relentless dominator. And this is all people. Rivalries in sumo aren't measured solely by victories, but by the mark they leave on the sport. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your likes, comment on your best sumo rivalry, and subscribe to the SumoSpirit channel for more content. See you in the next video.